I'm Rob Kesseler. I am Chair of Arts, Design and Science for the university, and we're here today in Kew Gardens in the Jodrell Laboratory, where I do a lot of my microscopy work, and I've worked since the late 90s. I've been collaborating here. My father gave me a microscope when I was 10, and I started making slides. I think he thought it would encourage my interest in the natural world. And I was making slides of pollen when I was 10 years old. And I always had that interest, and I nearly studied biology, but I actually studied art in the end. And at the end of the 90s, I was aware that no one was really using that material. No one was really working from a microscopic material as a creative source. And so I sent in a sort of blanket letter to the different heads of the sections here at Kew. And I got one reply, which is sort of magic bullet, from Madeleine Harley, who was head of palynology, which is pollen research. And she invited me in, and she showed me her images, which were stunning. And she invited me to work with her a bit. She trained me on the microscopes, and then it really kind of snowballed from there. Nature's spectacular anyway, and we get careless with looking. When you start to go to a microscopic level, you realise that actually the complexities of nature are immense, really, and visually intoxicating almost. They kind of draw you in, and it's the kind of, how can something so small be so complex but be so fundamental for life? And I think I'd always been inspired by books like Haeckel's Art Forms in Nature from early 20th century, Blossfeld, and I was trying to do something which built on that tradition of artists and scientists visualizing nature to kind of capture a wider audience. When I'm here, the temptation is to spend all the day working on the microscope. It's such precious time. But really, it's important to make sure I get some time out in the gardens, in the greenhouses. Every day you come, you see something new. And I think when I first started working, people would ask me, they'd say, "Oh, when did you get this opportunity to work on those microscopes?" Which is true. But I also realised that I wasn't using my own lenses, my own eyes, anywhere near as well as I could do. And so when you look with knowledge, you start to look more closely. I prepare my images to show what I want to show, but the scientists will prepare their specimen to show it in the best possible light for scientific purposes. So we both manipulate and moderate what we do. And I would say that just as the flower will employ a variety of strategies to attract an audience of insect collaborators, I use colour to attract a different audience. Technology is fairly central to what I do, and in a sense technology changed how artists work, but also how scientists work. And in the 19th century, between the 19th and 20th century, the technology became more complex, more expensive, and actually made it more difficult for collaborations between artists and scientists. But with the advent of digital technology, we started to share the same platforms, the same programs, and that made access a little easier. And then I think there was just a general kind of feeling that collaboration across disciplines is not only interesting, but it becomes more important to share knowledge across disciplines. In my role as chair, I've tried to kind of, it's almost a bit like speed dating, I've tried to create opportunities using the contacts that I've established within the kind of science world. You think, well, actually science is that community and we are art and design. But actually as art and designers, we're as different as we are to the scientists. They're kind of, we don't talk across disciplines anywhere near as much as we should do. I think you have to have deep knowledge of the disciplines that you're working in. I'm not a great one for generalised knowledge. I think you really have to have very sophisticated, deep knowledge, but you then have to be able to apply that and communicate that out and share it. And I think scientists are quite good at doing that. If they want to find something out just tangential to their specialism, they will go and find that right person. And I think we've got lots to learn from that. And hopefully kind of those kind of cross collaborations, which I think we're going to grow more and more, will have a good influence within art design education.